the question of why invest, for me it prompts the realization that all of us are beneficiaries of a huge amount of wealth that we didn't earn. And if you think about the knowledge that is passed down to us, you think about our inheritance from previous generations, the health of the planet, none of that we earned, we're beneficiaries, that was given to us. And I think fundamentally the appropriate relationship with that inheritance is one of stewardship, that we should look to preserve and enhance that for people who come after us. So whether it's money, whether it's knowledge, whether it's skills, whatever we receive or are given or are fortunate to earn ourselves through our own labour, we should treat like a burden that we're stewarding for others. And so that makes investment the most rational course of action for me. When I think about investment, I take quite a broad view. Like, yes, you can invest money, but you can also invest time, you can invest reputation. There's lots of other things at play. And if we only measure one of them, I think it's an incorrect view of reality. So if I invest money and I put down $10 and in a year I make $100, that looks pretty good. But if that cost everyone in this room $5, then that looks much more like extracting from an economy than actually investing and creating value. And say it's not just money, say I hurt everyone here and everyone's health diminished a little bit, or I put lots of carbon into the atmosphere in the process of making my $90 sort of surplus. Again, it's not a true investment, it's not a true creation of value. And I think without discussing and measuring and talking about the other things we value apart from money, we can't really talk about investing correctly. And so I think a lot of, when I think about investing, it's about trying to find the opportunities where the possibility space of the future and our current reality, where there's a gap, where there's something that's possible that is more beautiful, more powerful, more wonderful for all of us, and there's a stepping stone ways to get there. And it's never a sure path, there's always risk in there. So it's about sacrificing current wealth in the hope of future wealth. And I think when we broaden away from more than just money and more than just one individual or one organisation to all of us, we can have a much more accurate picture of that. So personally, and I think there are also a few different types of outcomes I think we can talk about. Some of them are direct outcomes, like, okay, housing's an issue. If I invest some money or some time or some reputation or get lots of people together, maybe we can help more people have access to affordable housing. It's a direct outcome, and most people would applaud you for doing that. It's like, great work, it's a good thing. But I think there's also catalytic outcomes we can try and invest in as well, such as what's the system which is making housing unaffordable? What are the root drivers that actually do that? And if you look at the taxation system and lots of others, there are systemic causes to unaffordable housing. And if you try and change those systems, then you'll actually have to fight lots of people to do it, because a lot of people benefit from the current system, whereas if you just go and do your thing, direct outcomes I think are less risky and cheaper to get, but often they'll be less powerful, whereas the catalytic outcomes, much more expensive, much more risky, and often it's a battle, but that's where we can really shift and get large-scale returns. And so I think when you're talking about policy, I think it's one of the most catalytic things you can do, but the actual art of getting new policy passed, which benefits lots of people, but maybe it doesn't benefit some people, that's a very difficult thing to do in our society. And I think the final piece I would add is that when you look around at the systems, like the political systems, the financial systems, the legal systems, and all the incentives that go in different directions and chase their own tails, I think that our global society is deeply inelegant and flawed. I can imagine a society which is so much more beautiful in lots of ways. And you can start to look at our climate, you can look at slavery, you can look at the financial system. There is no end of systemic change needed to actually make this world better, which is, I think, a good thing, because a lot of us get a lot of value from trying to do that change. So I think that it's never been a more exciting time to be alive and to take this frame of how can you invest to make a more beautiful world. And I think the final thing was, I think people invest in what is familiar, but that's some of the best advice I've heard as well, which is around invest in what you know, because when you invest in stuff you don't really understand, you'll usually make bad decisions. And I think the challenge is to extend what is familiar to us. So learning about something which I don't really understand means I can act much more usefully and powerfully in that space.